I sit on this porch every morning with a cup of coffee and a phone that stays silent. It has been 5 years since my wife passed away, and since then, I have let my whole world shrink down to that small screen. I had to be honest with myself today. I realized that I have been begging for my children to notice me just to feel like I am still important. It is a hard thing to admit, but I am tired of letting a phone call decide if I have a good day or a bad day. I have lived this way for too long, and I know many of you are doing the same thing right now. But I want to show you how I finally stopped waiting for them to make me happy. I want to show you how I started finding my own peace of mind again. I had to ask myself why I was letting my children decide if I was happy or not. I spent 30 years working hard to give them everything they needed. I paid for the house, the clothes, and the college education. Deep down, I thought that if I was a good father, they would be here to take care of me when I got old. But I realize now that I was wrong to think that way. I did not raise my children so they would owe me a debt. I raised them to be strong and independent people. If they are out there living their own lives and staying busy, it means I did a good job. My work as a father is finished. It is time for me to stop waiting for them and start living for myself again. 6 months ago, I hit a point where I could not take the silence anymore. It was the 5-year anniversary of the day. My wife passed away, a day that usually feels like a heavy weight on my chest. I spent the entire morning in my favorite chair, staring at the phone on the table. I was so sure that my son or my daughter would call me to talk about their mother. I waited while the morning sun moved across the floor, and I waited while the house grew cold in the afternoon. But the phone did not ring once. I felt a terrible anger growing inside me, and I started to feel like my whole life was being erased by their busy schedules. As I sat there in the dark, I looked up at a photograph of my wife on the mantel. She had a look in her eyes that reminded me of how much she loved to see me active. She always said that my hands were made for working, not for waiting. That memory gave me the strength to stand up. My knees were stiff and my back ached, but I walked out to the garage and turned on the dusty overhead light. I saw my old workbench and my tools, and I decided right then to build a small wooden bench. For the next 3 hours, I did not think about the phone or the silence. I only thought about the smell of the pine wood and the sound of my saw. I focused on every nail I drove into the wood. By the time the sun went down, I was sitting on a finished bench in the middle of my garage. I started to cry, but for the first time in 5 years, I was not crying because I was lonely. I was crying because I realized that I am still a capable man. I found my value again in the work of my own hands, and I realized I did not need a phone call to tell me that I still matter. That was the day I stopped being a beggar for attention. I sat on that bench and looked at my hands, and that was when the truth finally hit me. I cannot control my children or how busy their lives are. When I wait for them to make me happy, I am giving away my power. I am 85 years old, and I have learned that my joy is my own responsibility. It does not belong to my son, and it does not belong to my daughter. If they call, it is a great gift. But if they do not, I still must find a way to have a good day. Stop staring at the phone and stop waiting at the window. Go find something that makes you feel useful again. Your peace of mind is the only thing that no one can take away from you. The sun is almost down, and I am going back inside now. I am going to set the dinner table for one, and I will use the fine plates that we used to save for special days. I will cook a good meal for myself and listen to the music that I love. My front door is not locked, but I am no longer standing at the window waiting for someone to arrive. I have a full life to live, and I want you to do the same thing tonight. Do not wait for a phone call to decide if you are happy. Go and do something today that makes you feel useful and proud of yourself. Thank you for sitting with me on the porch. Keep your porch light burning bright. This is the Silver Porch.